Beautiful day, Patriots. How are you? So we're going to continue with Slaughterhouses Part 5. And what we're going to do right now is that we've got now our timeline. They're showing us these things. But if I needed to, let's say if I was being told like had to prove this in court, okay? I couldn't bring this book in there and say, look, and I'm using this book called The Myth. Talking about San Juan Capistrano, and I'm using this picture as a time frame. And they're like, but wait a minute, the picture says early 1900s. It doesn't give an exact date. And if Model T Fords didn't come out until 1908, which has an exact date, and these pictures here in California says early 1900s, could they not in court say early 1900s goes all the way up to 1949? Because 1950 is mid 1900s, middle 1900s. So a lawyer and a slickster could, maybe even bring that all the way. So I couldn't use a book like this or pictures like this saying, hey, but it's early. I say early as anything under 20. And then we go out and get the dictionaries and we start arguing back and forth about what the word it means. But we do have a time frame. We know that cars were extremely expensive and basically one-offs or, people trying to make something. Gas stations would be extremely hard to find along the way. A mechanic. You bought a brand new car, brand new invention. No matter what your technology was, this is a brand new thing. You do not know how to fix the engine. You do not know how the drive shaft works yet. You don't know how to do anything about these cars. It's brand new stuff. So, again, it's really bizarre that these many cars are here in the 1900s. But we can, in court, go back into our historical records of Los Angeles, say, right? Of the waterworks that we were looking at. We were looking at the waterworks and showing how the pictures had no people in it with actual true dates in it, right? So we could go through Los Angeles' records that they give us and say, well, you tell me that the cars aren't here until this time frame, but here's the city. Our tax dollars are paying for these, and you give me a story that this mission is this. But then in this other records that you've got, kind of might contradict itself. Now this could be taken into court that way by using their records. And I don't want to say against them, but if you're going to accuse me of something, of saying a theory, of myth, well, let's go to court and we'll use just none of my pictures, none of my books, none of my resources, none, zero. I don't want to use any of them because I don't know where they came from. There's no dates on them. I just want to use the state of California's official tax records on these missions and their pictures that they're showing of their cities and their timeline. So we'll see if that kind of thing would ever happen. But now, okay, but we do now have a timeline with our heads. These missions, less than 100 years later, this is the disarray that they're in. Somebody obviously just came back in and started a brand new garden. If you go there now, they're just beautiful. They've got all these, they've built them so beautiful. All this is built up and over. And so it's hanging gardens and just, oh my gosh, it's gigantic. This place is huge. Looks nothing like this. But as we go forward, and we were talking about California and then the Los Angeles records of this area and their time frame, and it's really weird how there's no people. And these missions with our tax dollars in California, I'm saying our tax dollars in California, I'm in Oregon at the moment, that these missions go all the way up to San Francisco. Let's go look at San Francisco's timeline for a second. We're now those missions were at the same time. Before 1776, these missions were starting up in California, and also the very last mission was up in San Francisco. And San Francisco is a huge port, so San Francisco has been used for long, long time, longer than the history tells us, and there's not too many historians will debate that because it's such a beautiful, protected, gigantic harbor. It's been used for thousands of years. Now, but we have incredible, great historical documentation of things about San Francisco, and unfortunately they've had terrible earthquakes in their past. Horrendous earthquakes. Absolutely terrible. And these things are well documented by many different reasons. By the state of California, people that experienced the event, people that were just 2 miles away that felt it but didn't get hurt, so they went and looked at it and took pictures of it. Everybody's seen many pictures of the San Francisco earthquakes. So we can go up and use historical documents in the California system that keeps records of those type of things with tax dollars so that we, the public, can go and look at them and learn. Correct? Now, this is early 1900s. Model T Ford, early 1900s. The story is, when Ford came out, there was a big push. They had to make roads so the cars could get places because they kept breaking down and in the mud. You can go and watch all the historical time stories of that. But now let's go ahead and look at San Francisco on YouTube. Okay? And we're going to just look at something here now, okay? So what I've done, movies of San Francisco before earthquake 1906. 1906 is early 1900s. These pictures are 1900s. This is a picture by tax dollar California records being housed and displayed as early 1900s. Not an exact date, but the earthquake was guaranteed exactly. There was quite a few during this time period, but this is the 1906. 2 years before the Model T Ford was able to be given to the public. What does this say? This is San Francisco, a trip down Market Street right before the earthquake. This is, I think, 3 days before the earthquake. Well, right off the bat, I see one car, two cars. And I believe I watched this one yesterday. Look at the size of these buildings. Watch this one. Maybe watch this one. Look at this building. Like I said, that's the same time these is here. 2 years before normal American people. So there's going to be all kinds of them, but you're going to see, here's a before and after. And once again, 1906, before most people could have cars, afford cars, I guess I should say. You know, look at these streets, paved streets, paved streets. Why did you need paved streets? It wasn't for the horse and buggy. Could be for the railroad ties and stuff, but they're on tracks all through America. They don't use pavement. Look how many cars are right here. Go watch this stuff. See, and look at this is the big train station. This is great. You just watch the hustle and bustle, and how many cars, and how many cars, how many cars before the Model T Ford. Will that really make sense to you? The trip down Market Street, 1906, right before the earthquake and right after the earthquake. Look at the buildings, look how many people, and then really ask yourself, wait, look at these. Like I say, there's plenty of footage there for you to go look at if you desire.